Okay, thank you. Praveen.
Okay, it feels like a second introduction to myself, right? Okay, all right. So I see a lot of people are slightly sliding into sleep. The eyes are getting a little bit drowsy. So yes, not to worry. I've got something in-house which is exciting for all of us, which is practical and which is very relatable, right? You're all accounts proficients, you know everything, right? So in this case, let us see how Tally, it's not just CT compliant or VAT compliant or your accounts compliant, but also it's overall tax that exists right now and what are the future upcoming taxation can also be handled in the system. So firstly, chart of accounts. So very familiar word, right? Chart of accounts, masters, GLs, you guys are very aware of that. So when it comes to system, when it comes to specifically for corporate tax, your books of accounts starts from setting up your base in chart of accounts. So be it your cost centers, your revenues, or even your taxable and non-taxable income, the categorization all happens within the chart of accounts. So in today, let us see in Tally how you can configure your general ledgers depending upon and as per the CT regulations. So wherein the base of CT is right away set in the product itself. Right? So this is where you get started. If you start and classify your chart of accounts in a right way that aligns with corporate tax, then your start is very well compliant to it, right? So and then again, of course, stock items, how to get started. Many business, of course, few are service-based industries, few are manufacturing-based industries, and few are trading-based. So how you can maintain your inventory irrespective of what kind of business or manufacturing or whatever segments that you're from, how to maintain in Tally, let's take a look. I'll switch to my screen to Tally. So so I have taken a demo company that is Gulf Tech Trading here. So I heard many of you were in 6.0 or like in TallyPrime. Can I see a show of hands, please? Very few. So how many of you are familiar with this screen? Okay, so it is somewhat relatable to ERP9, I guess, right? Yes. So this is what we call as gateway of Tally. So right here in the latest version, we have given the chart of accounts for a better easy and flexibility. So once you enter on chart of accounts, choose your ledgers. Tally, as per the international accounting standards, has already defined the groups. So wherein all of your general ledgers is going to appear. For example, for this company, the bank account is in ADCB, so it's appearing. Current asset, banking, the classification is as per international accounting standard. So right here, you have multiple options on the right hand side. For instance, let's say I click on ledger view, so wherein I can see all of the ledgers in my company and what is the grouping that is done. So many times what happens when you get started with the books of accounts, human error is always possible, right? Chances of mistakes is quite high. So sometimes, since if the data is huge, many times we take help our colleagues, right? So you punch in few of the data, let me create some important masters and get started quickly. So at any given point, the classification might go wrong, right? So this is where Tally double proofs any businesses, where you can come right here, verify your chart of accounts, and if there is any discrepancies, right here you can select and you can change the grouping, right? So you can align your chart of accounts as per the corporate tax right here, and then you can also click on multi-masters, and here you have the option where you can choose to edit most of the masters that you already created in one screen, one go, or you can choose to create multiple ledgers, align it simply with the respective group in one go. So let's say I want to alter, I'll click, I'll select all of my items, and right here you can alter it, even the opening balances. That's simple, right? So next is, I'll switch back to PPT. Next is the financial statements. So the most common financial statement is balance sheet, trial balance, P&L, profit and loss account, right? So we all know the importance of these three reports, right? They set the standard, they explain to us how the business is going on, what is the health of the business, and what is the projections that we can take, be it any critical business decision, has always been taken care by these reports, correct? Right. So now in Tally, how can the system help me derive a much more better insights, right? If we see it on a set of papers, if we see reports, okay, my asset is this much, my liabilities are this much, my receivables is this much. You cannot get into the deeper or deep details that the system can provide, like in Excel or in manual also. But with the help of Tally, how can I dive deeper into the insights and fix if there is any changes required, right? How can I modify my reports in such a way that I can have a better understanding and give the same understanding and insights to my management so they can further take the decisions respectively. So I'll switch back to Tally. So right here, we are all very much familiar with the screen. So I'll go to balance sheet here. So once you enter, it gives you the list of ledgers based on the transactions you have recorded. Automatically Tally will prepare your books of accounts, or let's say your MIS reports. So here many a times as a CFO or as a salespeople also, how are we performing? Like compared to the first quarter or the first half year, is the company performing better in terms of financials, or is it nosediving? Like how do we arrive at that? How do we have a comparative analysis of my books of accounts in one click, right? So right here you have the option auto column that gives you the flexibility to choose if you want to compare quarter versus quarter or you want to compare half yearly. Right here you can choose and you can see the side by side comparison of how your business is performing. And even in cases where multi-currency is involved, I've come across a lot of businesses where dollar is a very common currency that is part of their books of accounts. Even then, my company sometimes asks me to give, let's say, one of my accountant or head of accountant or even owner or the business owner, one of my business partner, prefers to have the reports in their currency, be it euros or be it dollars. Can I pull from Tally and click of a button? Right? That is what the system has to enable, all the tools that whenever you need to run your businesses. So right here, you can click on auto column. So select the company. So right here, you have the currency option. So depending upon the currency that your business deals or transacts with, you can generate any of your MIS reports in the respective currency. So just simply choose the currency. For this instance, let's say I want to generate in dollars. And the standard exchange rate as per the CBD already comes here. You can choose and save it. So in a single screen, you can have a comparative between your local currency, that is dirhams here, and on the right hand side you can see the balance sheet that is generated in dollars. And also many a times some companies prefer to have a horizontal balance sheet, some company prefers to have a vertical balance sheet depending upon their usage. Here you can also click on change view. You can choose the different view or mode of the balance sheet that as per your company you have the practice of, or even for multiple analysis that you guys do. And here you also have basis of values that gives you a different valuation method. First in, first out, last in, first out, standard, average, last sale price. So different valuation methods for both balance sheet as well as for profit and loss account, both is given. So where you can choose and generate reports as per that. Let's say I'll come to my P&L as well. Very familiar report again for all of you. I did not stress on that, right? So even here, the same features and facilities apply. Many a times I have definitely been come across where how many of you wanted to customize P&L as per your requirement? How many of you? No. Whenever you go to the configure option, you are very aware of it. You might have used it at some or the other point, right? So let's say I click on configure here. I want to see percentages of my balance sheet. So I'll just make this yes. And here, let's say I want a vertical balance sheet or a horizontal balance sheet. I can choose as per that. And let's say I want to see the base currency also, and I will save this. So whenever I come next time to profit and loss account, I have to do the same configuration again. I have to press my F12, I have to enable the percentages. So whenever I come balance sheet, can Tally give it a default setting of that this is the view I need, this is the way I want to see? Or even as I mentioned, comparative balance sheet, let's say half yearly. So whenever I log into my P&L, so this is the report that I want to see in. I don't want to again make the same settings. Yes, you can personalize your reports with Tally by simply clicking on Save View. Give the name that you would prefer to have, like let's say quarterly balance sheet, or let's say half yearly balance sheet, or my view of balance sheet, and you can simply save this as your default setting, and then whenever you visit your P&L, that is the way it's going to appear. And also you can share it with your owners. Many times what happens, owner keeps asking us, okay, what is outstanding, what is the finance, what is our financial situation, right? So we can simply create a report that your owner needs or your CFO needs, simply share it with them, right? At the click of a button, they can access whatever the reports needed. Next, of course, the stock summary, as I mentioned. So let's say here I'm getting the list of stock that is currently in my warehouse, currently in my company that we are trading with. So here I also want to see my inward and outward. I can make those yes right here. So I'll get a clear visibility of what was the total purchases done for the period, total sales, and then what is our current stock handling. Many a times this report is not enough. We want to see the top selling stocks. We want to see the stock that is lying with us, like aging analysis. We want to dive into movement analysis. That's what gives a better understanding and help us to manage the stocks better, right? So right here you also have basis of values. Here you can choose the different valuation method for your stock as well. The most common is average method, of course. And then right here by clicking on change view, TallyPrime gives you the access to other than just a simple plain view, that is your movement analysis as well as aging analysis. So this is the report that helps us understand how the inventory is being managed in the company efficiently, right? Are we failing in terms of piling upon the high selling or fast moving goods, or are we still working around with the stock that is not being sold that fast? Are we investing there too much? So this is where the efficiency of your inventory management can explain a lot. So now coming back, we discussed about the financial statements. I'll switch back to PPT. So now here, next is security control. And this is one of the very common areas that I come across a lot. Many cases even you have experienced. So how many of your businesses have more than one accountant or one accounting person in your company? Like data entry person is somebody else, accounting person is somebody, and reporting is person somebody else. How many of you have that situation? Oh, okay, that's not surprising, of course. So how many times have this conversation happened? Who recorded the entry? I didn't record. Who deleted the transaction? Right? The tracking of the transaction history, who recorded, who edited, who deleted. We all have come across that situation a lot. So that is where we come with security control, where you can define, you can protect your business data, you can define the user wise, you can restrict what, who, and when can they make their respective changes. Let me just take you through that. So here I'll go to company. First of all, we will have to create a company's password, right? Let's say I'm the administrator. I must have, or the owner must have a full access of your business data. I can simply go to company, alter. Here I'm going to give the credentials. The administrator will have a full access control. Let's say, for example, admin. He must have complete control and he is going to manage the users, right? Once you have given the username and password here, who is the administrator, then you can switch back to company feature here, go to your users and password. So right here, you can see there is a data entry person, there is a tally.net owner. Right here, you can create as many users as you want, right? So for example, here, let's say, I'll say, I need another data entry operator. Her name is, let's say, Lucy. I'll give your list. Our password can be, let's say 123, for example. I can create it this way. So now what happens is, every time Lucy opens Tally, she is going to have to enter the username and her own password. So we know whenever she creates a masters, we can track that. Whenever she deletes a transaction or edits a transaction, we have complete control with date time stamp. And coming to restricting the data access, right? So here you can also go to user roles. So let's say data entry. So on the left hand side you can see disallow the following features. So I don't want Lucy to take a look at crucial business information like payroll information, the profitability of the company. I don't want her to have the complete access. Right here you can block all of those reports, transactions, the crucial sensitive data that you don't want for any data operator to take a look at. You can just allow exactly what is as per their role, maybe just record sales, purchase, payment receipt, and then move on. So switching to PPT, here we saw how we can enable the security control for the company. So then we saw how to create the users, restrict the data as per their requirement. And also you can set up your own password policy. Like it should be alphanumerical or it must have any dedicated symbols along with their password. You can choose to protect and give a level of security that you feel is necessary for your businesses. Next is the edit log. So we saw how to set up the user controls. So next is, do we have a report to see, okay, how many transactions Lucy recorded, how many transactions did she delete, or if there is any admin, how many transactions did he alter on request of data entry operator or Lucy, right? So in TallyPrime, in release 5.0, we gave edit log summary report where you can see the complete history in a single report, how many transactions have been logged and how many transactions have been altered and who is the user who altered those transactions. Who made the changes, what were the changes, you can easily track in a single report. I'll switch to Tally here. So let's say I'll go to display more reports. So right here we have the new report, that is edit log summary. So once you enter here, automatically you are going to see the list of transactions and what are those transactions that were altered. So let's say I want to see this user wise. So I'll click on change view. I'll say user wise voucher summary. Right here we have one user. Let me switch back so I'll have multiple users to show you. So right here I'll click on change view and then choose user wise. So here you can see admin, he has recorded somewhere around 24 transactions and he has edited around 37 times. Ahmed, who is a recent joining the company, has just recorded and altered a single transaction. Lucy has already altered 2 transactions here. So each and every user wise, you can track and see the transaction that the alteration has been done to. So let's say I want to see all the transactions. I'll just click on all vouchers. So you'll get a clear count, total transactions that were recorded, that were not altered and that were altered by each and every user. You can simply drill down here. For example, Lucy, I'll enter here. You can see she has recorded one payment entry but not altered, and here there were 2 sales transactions which were altered. You can press enter, drill down to see which month the transaction is, and further you can see until the changes that the user has made. For example, let's say on 28th June the transactions were recorded, but on 3rd of August the transactions were modified. Any data that were modified appears in red color for your reference. Isn't this easy? Right? So this specially helps a lot in terms of auditing, right? We all have been in terms of auditing, wherever audit is happening, who recorded transactions, what changes, no idea. You have to run through asking people, multiple people. So this definitely plays a very huge role when it comes to maintaining the credibility of your data. So, and also many times after you file your VAT returns, every quarterly, every monthly we file the VAT returns. And once you close the financial year, once auditing is done, we close the books of accounts and then we move on. So now by any mistake, if the user logs into the previous year data and records transaction, so that is where the credibility or the dependence or the accuracy of the data is compromised. That is where we cannot depend on that data anymore. So that is where system comes into place, helps you track what were the changes and also which user has made it. Tally also has a feature wherein you can block the backdated transactions. For example, I don't want my users to record any transaction prior to 31st December 2024. I can simply give the date so that no user without the admin's permission can record any transaction pertaining to that period. So coming back to the presentation. So we saw how to set up the edit log, and then we also saw tracking edit log masters and transactions, which user has done what transaction changes, and also we saw in the report how we can dive into the in-depth analysis of my reports. The next important thing is the analysis and verification tool. So again, to have a better audit control and to have a better understanding of your business data, so we brought in the option that is analysis and verification. So when it comes to corporate tax, we heard a lot in terms of money. We learned a lot, right? How important your business data is, right? And there are many tools to help you to maintain a proper business data. When it comes to filing your VAT return, filing your corporate tax, to ensure that your data is the right values, nobody has manipulated any of this data. Edit log, security control play a very crucial role, and then comes your data analysis and verification, where you can take it to a next level and make sure that you verify every master, every transaction, and you approve that so that your auditors or CS can further take it. So we'll take a look at how the verification of your opening balances and periodically payments, receipts that are done, and also throughout the financial year, if anybody has recorded any transactions on, let's say, my weekend, Saturday, Sunday, how can I filter and see those in a single report by click of a button? Or when we heard of a lot about the approval system, right? If my data operator or my person wants to take approval from my management or from the accountant before, let's say, closing the books of accounts or creating the transactions or masters, we'll also see how we can verify and approve those in the system. So I'll go to Gateway of Tally. So right here I'll go to display more reports, and right here you will find above edit log summary report, analysis and verification. So you can dive into further deeper analysis of your data by simply entering here. So the first step, again, we saw the foundation of your corporate tax starts from chart of accounts. You can enter on this report. You can see the total number of ledgers that have been not used throughout the period. You can see around 7 ledgers. You can enter here. You'll get the list of those ledgers. And right here, the ledgers that are used in the current period, you can enter on them. You can see the transactions, when was the first voucher date, what is the closing balance, what is opening balance. Right here, you can choose these masters. If you're verified, if you're giving consent to it, you can select these masters and then click on verify. So this gives the assurance to your owner, to the CFO, CEOs, that yes, the business data has been properly managed in every single level of accounting, reporting, and yes, it has been verified. So this is what assures your business data, increases the credibility of your business data for your further filing of your compliance, be it corporate tax, VAT returns, or even now upcoming e-invoice. Right? So yes, you can click on this option right at the bottom. You can select all. Once you have verified every single ledger, you can choose and then click on to verify in one go. Next is the verification of your balances. So you can enter here, you can in a single view verify the closing balances as well as the transactions that has happened for all of your items and elements from your balance sheet as well as your P&L. Then as I mentioned here, we also have the pending documents that have been sent. Many times the goods are delivered but the invoice is not made, or many times, let's say, we have received the invoice but the goods are still pending to be delivered from our supplier. In all these cases, what are the pending documents are there? You always can inform your team before the financial year closing or before you start filing the corporate tax. You can just make sure these pending things are taken care in your system. And then repetitive transactions. If there are any transaction that has happened multiple times with the same value, with the same ledger, you can also identify here. This definitely helps in terms of identifying duplication of your transactions by mistake by your data operators. Next is, let's say we have cash withdrawals and deposits for you to further verify your cash inflow and cash outflows. And here you also have the transactions and holidays that users have recorded on Saturdays and Sundays. Right? So many a times what happens, just to verify this transaction to be step ahead, it's necessary to make sure that any unapproved transactions hasn't taken place in the system. And then we have voucher verification. So that allows you to easily filter and see what are the related party transactions. So I think this is a very integral part of corporate tax. So if you're dealing or if you're interacting your transactions with a business that is related to you, like maybe let's say it's your own company or you own a 50% of it. I think Raju sir is much better in terms of when he explains that. So just whenever related party transaction comes into picture for corporate tax, you can flag those companies or ledgers right here in Tally. So all of their transactions will be filtered here. You can easily refer to that before filing. So coming back to the final segment, that is the e-filing and CT tool. So I see many of you are already using VAT. How many of you maintain or file your VAT from Tally? Can I see a show of hands, please? How many of you maintain VAT in Tally? Right, so yes. So you record your input VAT, you record your output VAT, then we have a VAT 201 report in Tally that you use. So the general practice of filing how VAT right now, as of now, is that you export the VAT 201 report into PDF, you see the figures in it, log into Imara tax portal, you plug in the figures, right? That's how most of you do it? Yes. But what if, whenever I'm recording, it's a manual hassle. I have to double check every single figures. If it is 0, then yes, definitely I have to count each and every zeros. In this case, system is already there, right? Automating can be much more simpler. What if I can click a button in Tally and then all the data can automatically exchange to Imara tax portal, right? It completely eliminates the hassle, improves accuracy, efficiency, and a better visibility so that you don't have to log into multiple portals for doing one single filing. So let me just give you a glimpse of that. Before that, I think we already know VAT was implemented in 2018. So then the threshold of this and even the return filing could be quarterly or monthly for you guys. Yes, by logging into Imara tax portal from within Tally, we can directly do the e-filing. Let's take a look. So again, I'll come to Tally here. I'll click on exchange at the top. Right here, you'll find a new option, upload VAT 201. And then it is important for you to log in. You have to log into Imara tax portal so that the bridge between Tally and the FTA portal is created so that exchange of data flows. So every company has their own credential that is given by the department. You just have to plug in your email ID here, password, and the captcha, and then log in. So this establishes a 30-minute data exchange with Tally to tax portal. So once it is done, I'll switch back to the system. I'll click on start session here. And here it shows me the list of previous reports or VAT filing that I have done. I can see the status, VAT reference number, and whichever is pending to be submitted, I can enter on that, and immediately it starts fetching the data from tax portal. Right, these are the tax refunds, goods imported. All the figures that is populated by Imara tax portal is been fetched right here. You can verify all your sales data, sales, purchases, all of it, and choose to submit by clicking on submit here. So once you approve it, automatically the entire data gets exchanged, and also your VAT reference number will get generated here. So the entire process, if you see, it didn't take more than like 2 minutes, right? So if you have ensured that your basics like your chart of accounts, your transactions mainly, they're all right, correct, and they've been verified. So then, yes, e-filing is a smooth. So next is corporate tax. So yes, so we built a CT tool on an external tool that is on Excel, wherein the data exchange can happen between Tally, and then it can move to the Excel tool where you can further slice and dice the data for your corporate tax filing. So there are 4 steps involved. That is, firstly, the exchange of your data from Tally to your Excel, and then trial balance and mapping. So where you map the individual categories, taxable income, non-taxable income, the revenue departments or EBITDA, how much ever is allowed by the corporate tax regulations, and then your computation gets calculated automatically in the tool itself, and then finally you'll be able to derive at the 9% CT that you're supposed to file to the department. So right here we have the Excel. So can I switch back to the system, please? Yeah. So right here, the first you can see it gives you a basic guidelines as to how and what the exact tool contains in both English as well as Arabic for your convenience. So the next is the structure. So this is defined as per the guidelines, that is by the department. All the different allowed adjustments, income, taxable ones, all of this is defined as per the CT. You can refer to the whole list of buckets that has been available here. Okay.
What's the relationship between e-invoice and e-filing?
Sir, e-filing is for VAT specifically, and then CT tool is for corporate tax. Yeah, can you please?
Relationship between e-invoice and e-filing.
Oh, okay. Sir, e-filing is primarily for your VAT return to flow to the Imara tax portal. But when it comes to e-invoicing, it's for every invoice the company generates, which is registered for VAT. As per the guidelines of FTA, which is public guidelines are released, but not the actual final regulations. So every company, whenever they generate an invoice, it must have a QR code generated by the system, which is unique from invoice to invoice. So that is what e-invoice means. And like in Saudi, we already implemented that. It also comes with 2 phases. First phase, the government told the businesses, you must have a unique QR code for all the VAT registered companies on every invoice. Phase 2 were wherein whenever you generate an invoice within the system, it has to real time sync and exchange the data with the Zatka authority in Saudi. So probably something similar might come here as well, where all of your invoices that you generate with QR code, unique QR codes, must maybe sync with the Imara tax portal real time in future. So that's the difference, sir. I hope that helps. Yes. So these are the buckets that have been defined by the FTA for the CT. So by clicking on data here, so all of my ledgers as per the chart of accounts that we have set in Tally appears here. But again, the numbers are empty, right? So how do we bridge both? So all you need to do is simply click on any of this particular field. On the right hand side, if you click, there is a refresh button. So once you click on refresh, automatically Tally pulls all of the figures from your trial balance specifically. So many times when the data operator records a transaction, right, the elements might be missing from the balance sheet. There are a lot of discrepancies that could happen. So once you verify the closing balances of all of your ledgers, so which is why from your trial balance, the data will be fetched here, and you can see all of the figures are automatically fetched here. So next you can go on to your input sheet where you can see your basic company details, the company name, the starting period, periodicity, financial data, business revenue, all of it will appear here. And by taking the help of the experts, of course, then you will see how you can classify your business data. So these are the classifications. I'll just scroll down like this a bit. So these are the classification that has been defined again as per the FTA guidelines. So where you can classify all of your expenses, income, how much percentage it is allowed, how much it is not allowed, disallowed, all of that. You can map it as per the buckets that is defined here. And then if you come to the final sheet, that is your adjustment sheet, These are the points that you can refer to, and this is where your final CT calculations happens automatically. The tool doesn't of course automate the 100%. You need the experts, you need the experts on the subject matter to help you arrive at the 9%, and then again verification of course, but this automates at least 80% of the work. Great, right? So VAT, yes, we have a system in place where it takes from scratch to, like, right from your creating your tax invoices until you file your VAT, and then on the corporate tax, your chart of accounts, whatever the reports that are necessary for a business, be it small, medium or large, you have the system in place to help you comply with that. So TallyPrime gives you all the data that you need to file your corporate tax.